Sawasdee ka, and thank you for joining us on Newsline. We are broadcasting live on NBT, Radio Thailand FM 88, and on NBT World. It's Thursday, June the 30th, and you're with me, Thratira Kausan. Welcome to today's segment of Thailand Moves Forward. In our first story, the Prime Minister has encouraged all citizens to help find ways to promote sustainable coexistence between humans and nature, while instructing related government units to improve their environmental conservation efforts. Prime Minister General Prayut Chan-o-cha presided over the launch of an event for World Environment Day 2016 under the theme Stop Buying, Stop Selling, Stop Killing, Stop Extinction. The Premier asserted that the government has been closely cooperating with international organizations to tackle environmental problems. He admitted many people have proposed using Section 44 of the 2014 Interim Constitution to punish illegal poachers and loggers, but he believes it is more important to develop a conscience in these individuals to address the problems at their root cause. General Prayut also affirmed that Thailand recognizes the significance of World Environment Day. He said the Department of Environmental Quality Promotion under the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment has been entrusted with organizing activities in observance of this year's occasion from June 5th onwards. All the activities aim to raise awareness of the severity of environmental problems and foster networks to help ensure a better future. The Prime Minister has encouraged all citizens to help find ways to promote coexistence between humans and nature. That was our first story, and now turning to our second story, the Prime Minister has affirmed his administration is doing its utmost to combat corruption and has given the issue great importance. Prime Minister General Prayut Chan-o-cha chaired a meeting of the National Committee Against Corruption, using the opportunity to state that his government has continually worked against corruption and to announce that his administration is now approaching the end of the second phase of its national reform roadmap, which calls for the serious eradication of graft. The Prime Minister lamented that a major issue impeding his government's efforts is the misrepresentation of information to the public and arguments based on emotion rather than fact. He urged caution against such tactics while asserting that righteousness must be maintained in all efforts. He pointed out that many projects that no longer justifiably continue should be ended and restarted once necessary. The Prime Minister has instructed related agencies to proceed with the legal case of the rice pledging scheme while stressing the government's commitment to eradicating corruption. General Chat Udom Tiktasiri, the chairman of the committee responsible for inspecting government spending, and Mr. Prayong Priyatit, Secretary General of the Public Sector Anti-Corruption Commission, jointly announced the results of the latest meeting of the National Anti-Corruption Commission, chaired by Prime Minister General Prayut Chan-o-cha. According to them, the Prime Minister highlighted the government's determination to stamp out corruption in a concrete manner. He also assigned the Ministry of Education to train more teachers for the implementation of the Growing Good project, which aims to include ethics courses in school curriculum. Regarding the case stemming from the rice pledging program of the previous government, General Prayut called on the newly formed investigative committee to expedite its operations in line with the legal framework. Another committee was also set up to follow up on the investigative work and ensure its effectiveness. In addition, the Premier encouraged all to uphold royal teachings of His Majesty the King as a guideline for preventing corruption and raising awareness of the problem. The Deputy Prime Minister for Public Security has given assurances that efforts against human trafficking are continuing at full force, while revealing he will soon travel to Myanmar to discuss border security. Deputy Prime Minister and Defense Minister General Prawit Wongsuwan has responded to speculation that Thailand will be lifted from Tier 3 to Tier 2 on the United States Trafficking in Persons report, saying that the government made combating the issues of human trafficking a national priority and confirming that it will continue its efforts. The Deputy Premier also disclosed that he will soon travel to Myanmar with a delegation consisting of senior military and police personnel to meet with President Tin Chaw on border security issues. He confirmed he will also meet with Myanmar State Councillor Aung San Suu Kyi to build on relations initiated during her recent mission to the kingdom. In the meantime, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has affirmed that Thailand will continue to focus on the mission to end human trafficking, although reports suggest that the country's ranking on the Trafficking in Persons report could improve this year. Following news from Reuters that the United States would downgrade Thailand from Tier 3 to Tier 2 on its 2016 TIP report, Mr. Sek Wanameti, Director General of the Department of Information and spokesman for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, noted that the information has not been officially confirmed. The U.S. is scheduled to release its annual TIP report later today. Regardless of the results, Mr. Sek stressed that the government will maintain its priority on the suppression of human trafficking, which is high on the national agenda. He said more concrete measures will continuously be implemented to strengthen the country's stance, policy, law, and cooperation against human trafficking. Minister attached to the Prime Minister's office, Hmom Hluang Panada Diskun, has urged all groups to use social media responsibly and refrain from inappropriate language. The minister gave a special lecture on national development to government spokespeople. He said all officials must encourage ties to coexist with honesty and sufficiency according to His Majesty the King's guidelines on unity, reconciliation, and national solidarity. Hmom Hluang Panada also expressed his concern on the use of social media, with many posts containing obscene language and verbal attacks. He is concerned for the sake of the impressionable children who can be influenced by profanity on social media. The Constitutional Court has reached a unanimous decision that a clause in the public referendum law, which was in question, does not violate the provisional constitution. In a statement at the Constitutional Court, judges on Wednesday completed their deliberations on a part of Section 61 in the 2016 Public Referendum Act, which the Office of the Ombudsman had petitioned for a review. The Office of the Ombudsman had raised concerns that the clause in question might overly limit the people's rights and freedom to express their opinions, which are essential elements endorsed by the Constitution. After more than 2 hours of deliberations, the Constitutional Court judges unanimously voted that the clause in question was not in violation of the 2014 Interim Charter, without providing any notes to accompany their verdict. Fast Auto Show Thailand 2016 will kick off at Bangkok International Trade and Exhibition Center, with organizers expecting to sell 3,000 cars. Energy Minister General Anantaporn Kanchanarat chaired the opening ceremony, which exhibits both used and new cars. The event expects to sell an estimated 2,000 new cars and 1,000 old cars. This year, the used car market has shown signs of recovery, which it attributed to the recent tax hike on new cars the past year. Due to government stimulus measures coupled with a recovering economy, the auto show expects strong purchasing power. Fast Auto Show Thailand 2016 will commence on July 3rd. A project has recently been launched to promote an adaptation of His Majesty the King's composition, Pramahachanok, in order to allow blind people to learn about the story. The story will be told to people with visual disability through wall sculptures and multimedia. The blind will be able to experience the story by touching the wall sculptures while listening to the soundtrack of the animation. According to CEO of Pan Fan, Pan Yim, Nattapong Mokapan, the key organizer of the project, the story of Pramahachanok encourages people with disabilities to develop perseverance and wisdom while eliminating social inequality.
Actually, we have Pan Fan Pan Yin project. Pan Fan project is we have a joint objective to bring the kindness to the children who have a disabled child, and we have a thing for the how to have the children that grow up from the to kindness, and they bring for the drink idea from the King Our Majesty. About the kindness, the kindness is the bring for the when we have a problem, when we use the kindness to in a pass of the problem, we can pass it. Then for the disabled child, they must to have the kindness for the all over for the people to them.
Dr. Nattapong also explained the reason behind the decision for the organizers to publicize the story of Pramahachanok.
We choose Pramahachanok because the story to bring make the inspiration for anyone, even though for the disabled child, to have kindness and to have the brain, to have a goal and to have try to do something for the other.
Mahachanok is an ancient Buddhist scripture depicting a practice of perseverance by King Mahachanok. It is a story of the last reincarnation of Bodhisattva before he was born as the prince Siddhartha, who became Buddha. And that's the end of today's edition of Thailand Moves Forward. Up next in the ASEAN News segment, the Deputy Prime Minister for Economic Affairs presents the concept of the Eastern Economic Corridor to Chinese investors. But first, let's take a look at the exchange rates and commodity prices.
Hey there, Michael here in wonderful Thailand. To ask, given all the latest news, what do you think you know about Thailand? Looks like it's still business as usual, chilling out. Maybe grab some of the local food and check out the Thai scene. Perhaps partying a little bit with friends. Trust in Thailand and have some fun.
Don't trust anyone who says, "Trust me." Who's ever earned your trust? I have a friend. He's Thai. He leads a simple life. He finds joy in simple pleasures. He's sincere. He takes to heart the Buddhism belief of using reason and doing good. He follows the King's sufficiency economy theory that advises self-reliance, living without greed and being content with what you have. He shares with others. He takes care of his foreign friends like they're part of his family. And when he's upset, he compromises. He smiles even when faced with obstacles. If you're looking for a friend, What kind of friend would you like? A friend who's ready to lend a hand. A friend that you can be yourself. A friend who smiles at you with sincerity. Trust me. Trust Thailand.
The Deputy Prime Minister for Economic Affairs has announced a recent cabinet decision to develop Thailand's Eastern Economic Corridor to investors in Shanghai. Continuing a trip to rally investors in China, Deputy Prime Minister Somkit Chattopadhyay has prepared an in-depth presentation on this week's cabinet decision to develop the nation's Eastern Economic Corridor into one of ASEAN's major economic zones. The presentation will outline all the planned development for the corridor and how it will serve as a gateway to ASEAN for Chinese businesses. The Deputy Prime Minister is scheduled to attend a meeting on the undertaking this July 4th. Dr. Somkit met with China's State Councillor Wang Yong, who also oversees the country's state enterprises. At the talks, the Deputy Prime Minister assured the councillor that Thailand's economy is recovering and is primed for investment as it is ready to serve as an entryway to the CLMV region. He touted that investment in Thailand is in keeping with China's 5-year development plan, which seeks to increase ties with ASEAN. The Department of International Trade Promotion, or DITP, has signed a Memorandum of Understanding with Siam Commercial Bank, or SCB, to develop the capabilities of Thai SMEs in foreign markets with an emphasis on Thailand's emerging industries. DITP Director General Mali Chok Lamlert revealed that the agreement focuses on providing knowledge and enhancing the capabilities of SMEs of emerging industries. The DITP and SCB will support business to penetrate foreign markets, particularly in the CLMV, or Cambodia, Laos PDR, Myanmar, and Vietnam. SCB's first Executive Vice President and Group Head, Wipon Wara Sauharit, said the memorandum will help create opportunities for SMEs to form networks and add value to their services. According to the agreement, the signatories will organize the SME Expo Spring Up Thailand Project, LSP's Meeting and Matching 2016, ASEAN networking events, and a forum on halal food marketing. Environmental and cultural sustainability is becoming the forefront of business in the tourism industry. Creating nature-based attractions is not easy to accomplish. Not only do the developers need enormous resources, but they have to put their hearts into it as well. Our correspondent Kun Pimchnok Ratanat Piset spoke with a Thai developer who has revitalized a degraded forest into a sustainable tourist destination.
Wandering in the natural surrounding of Laos' southernmost province, you will find yourself captivated by the charm of many scenic waterfalls, each of which has its own beauty and uniqueness. One of these picturesque cascades lie in Utthayan Bajiang, which was once a remote and neglected site accessible only by animal-drawn cart.
We're here at Pa Suom Waterfall, a great man-made setting which aims to promote ecotourism in Champasap.
In Lao, Suom means bride and groom bedroom. Pa Suom Waterfall is referred to a bedroom in the legendary love story of Thao Bajiang and Nang Marong. Originally, it was just a small stream, but later its channel was expanded to make wider paths for water to tumble thoroughly in the different directions. The waterfall, as well as the surrounding area, was modified into a tourist attraction. Many stones were laid to create retaining walls. Over 25,000 trees were planted to beautify the area. This was done by a Thai business developer, Vimon Git Bamrung, and the local workforce.
From my experience, I have traveled work, and learned so many things. So I drew landscape, applied feng shui, oversaw the construction, and invested in the project all by myself.
The bamboo bridge leads us to the ethnic village where nearly 14 tribes in southern Laos live amid the jungle. The ethnic groups build their houses based on traditional style and use their handicraft skills to create art and crafts. Kun Vimon aim to help them maintain their cultural traditions as long as they can by supporting them to make a living from the natural resources surrounding them.
These are the things we need to preserve. Here stand many hundreds of year-old trees that would take 5 people to encircle their trunks with their arms. And the ethnic groups here still live their lives in traditional way.
Nature lovers would enjoy spending nights at Uttyayan Bajiang Lodge, which overlooks Pasum waterfall, and having a local cuisine in a comfortable natural ambience. The restaurant here sells no alcohol and cigarettes. They serve fresh smoothie from the fruit they grow instead.
You need to put your heart and soul in preserving culture and nature. Investors who attempt to profit from this won't be able to achieve it. It's unlike stock market. There's no up and down. As you do it, it's a kind of happiness.
For those who want to invest in this type of tourism development, Kun Vimon advised that they should be dedicated and optimistic in what they do, and that they need time and effort to examine and invest in the sustainability of nature and culture. Camera work by Phonmongkhol Suthi and Phimchanok Ratanapiseth, NBT World, Champasak, Laos.
Heavily armed police officers and security personnel patrolled the terminal building at Istanbul Ataturk Airport as air travel slowly returned to normal. Arriving and departing passengers crowded the airport terminal, but the shock and fear from the suicide attacks that killed 41 people and wounded more than 239 on Tuesday remain evident. Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan said Wednesday that his country is being tested in the face of rising militancy in the region. The government declared a national day of mourning on Wednesday and lowered flags at public and private institutions across the country to half-mast. It was the deadliest in a series of suicide bombings so far this year in Turkey, a participant in the U.S.-led coalition fighting Islamic State. Turkish authorities say the attacks were carried out by 3 men who began by opening fire, then blew themselves up. So far, no group has declared responsibility for the attack, but Turkish officials believe Islamic State is likely responsible. The head of the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency, John Brennan, said the attack bore the hallmarks of Islamic State's depravity. Speaking at the Council of Foreign Relations think tank in Washington, D.C., Brennan also noted that there was still a ways to go before significant progress could be claimed against the group. On the conflict in Syria, Brennan said there will be no way forward on the political front without active Russian cooperation. And that's it for today's edition of Newsline. For any comments or suggestions, please feel free to email them to us at newsline.nbt@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Facebook. Just simply type in NNT or check out our website at thainews.prd.go.th/en. And we're going to say goodbye now with Berlin's most famous landmark, the Brandenburg Gate, which was lit up in Turkish colors out of respect for the airport bombing victims in Istanbul. I'm Tra Tirakosan. Have a wonderful day. Swadee ka.